Hi, my name is Charlotte Smith. Today we're going to be talking about some developmental pathways in a classroom. While doing so, I will give a brief description of each pathway and an example. The pathways are as followed: the physical, the social interactive, the psycho-emotional, ethical, linguistic, and intellectual cognitive. The physical journey in teaching evolves from initial awkwardness and physical strain to confident command and efficiency. Early on, new teachers struggle with things such as presence and vocal projection. With experience, these teachers can learn how to do simple things such as multitask. An example of that is writing while maintaining class awareness. An example of the physical pathway is a new teacher starting out would ask the class, "Can you hear me?" While an experienced teacher would simply say, "Eyes on me," or "Eyes up here." The social interactive pathway in teaching is a teacher's growth in building relationships and maintaining classroom dynamics. Over time, teachers develop deeper connections with students and learn to navigate social situations, creating supportive surroundings for their students. It is very easy to distract from this and not be able to interact with your students in a more vibrant way. Some teachers do struggle with social cues, but that is all right. While we are teaching our students, we are also teaching ourselves. An example of this pathway is a teacher normally establishes rules first, then learns name and interest. After that, navigates social situations, and finally promoting empathy. The psycho-emotional pathway is a teacher's growth in understanding and managing emotions, both their own and their students, to create a supportive learning environment. Talking to your students and having one-on-one experiences with them will help your students feel safe in your classroom and also help them to ask more questions during class and want to actually be able to learn. I know when I was back in school, I did not like to learn at all, but I learned to love it. It's very important that you slow down your lessons and ask your students if there's anything that they do not understand or that they need extra help explaining and understanding it. This helps them to want to ask more questions and hopefully get better grades and want to come into class the next day. An example of this pathway is managing stress, learns to respond to students' emotions, creating a safe classroom. The ethical pathway in teaching involves a teacher's growth in understanding and applying ethical principles. It culminates in making independent judgment that prioritizes students' well-being and social justice. If a student easily feels uncomfortable in classrooms, it is very easy to tell. They are most likely very quiet, they like to sit in the back of a classroom, and they mainly keep to themselves and not socialize very much. So it's important to spot those students and make sure that you're doing everything you can to make them feel more comfortable in a classroom, while also allowing them to open up in their own ways. An example of this pathway is a teacher moves from following rules to understanding and ethically supporting students' well-being. The linguistic pathway involves refining communication skills to support students' learning. It is very, very important to understand the way that your students learn. Now, some schools, all schools have rules that you have to go by on how you teach your classroom. But also, while following those rules, you can also learn your students and learn how they like to take in information. Like, some students are visual learners, some students are just listening learners, some students need one-on-one sometimes, some students work better by themselves, some students work better in groups. It's just important that you try to get to know your students that first week of school when it starts to better understand the way that they like to take in information. Sometimes they don't know themselves, so just try new things and maybe you can figure it out together. An example of this pathway is a refines language from simple instructions to sophisticated communication, fostering critical thinking. The initial cognitive pathway involves enhancing understanding of cognitive process to improve instructions. Now, this pathway, it involves critical thinking and problem-solving skills, helping your students to figure out their issues and helping them learn is very hard to do, I would say. While I was student teaching, there were some students that didn't understand, and the more we explained, the more confused they got. So maybe the student just didn't want to take in the information, or they were having trouble understanding how we were wording it. But working together will help them want to be a problem solver for other situations, such as other different classrooms and even outside of the classroom. An example of this pathway is a teacher evolves from learning memory techniques to designing activities promoting critical thinking. These are the developmental pathways of a classroom. Thank you.